The hardest part about everything in life is starting. The reason most people fail is because they psych themselves out so much before they even begin what they were going to begin that they never even end up starting, which means they will never accomplish their goals. Us as humans always try to fit in. So by doing something that most people don't do, by starting a business, by being an entrepreneur, something that's known as risky to the general populace is going to make you an outlier, and it is going to go against our biology as humans to fit in. This is why so many people are stuck in the 9-to-5 lifestyle, are stuck in lives they hate, because the last thing us as humans want to do intrinsically is go against the pack, not be normal, be an outlier. But once you can overcome that fear, you will be able to accomplish every single thing you want to accomplish. Guys, in this video, I'm going to break down how to overcome the fear of starting, how I started my business, how I started doing everything I wanted to do in my life, and how it made me become a millionaire at 19 years old in less than 2 years. You might not even realize you have this fear, but I'm going to break down how to overcome it, why it's so important. You may be watching this and not even realize you have this fear, but if you don't have every single thing you want in life, it is probably because of this. If you've been meaning to start that business but you haven't yet, it's probably because of your fear of starting. If you haven't gone to the gym and you don't even know why you want to go but you just can't go, it's because of this. So I'm going to break down how to overcome your fear of starting something and how to accomplish every single thing you want to accomplish. When I started my journey, I was 18 years old, guys. I was a senior in high school. I had to go to college the next year, at least that's what everyone was pressuring me to do. I knew I didn't want to go. My parents wanted me to go. We got in tons of arguments, blah, blah, blah. I knew I wanted to start my own business. I wanted to make my own money. I wanted to have freedom in this life, but I had no idea how to get there. Luckily, a few months later, I came across a program that taught me what I do now, sports content creation, and I ran with it. As soon as I had an opportunity, I put my all into it, and I finally started to make some money so I could prove to my parents that I could do this long term. Now, they didn't believe in me until I started making big money, enough where I could actually support myself, like living in my own place, like 10K plus per month. But I needed that little bit of proof to show them that I could do it and to get over that first initial hump. But the hardest part of that journey for me was confronting my parents, was to even start the conversation of telling them, hey, I don't want to go to college. I don't want to do what you did. To my dad, that is one of the hardest things I've ever done, telling him that I don't want to go the exact same route he went down, even though he has been a great role model to me. He loves me. I love my dad. We have a great relationship, but it's extremely hard. And all of you guys know who have started business or anything like this, that it is extremely difficult to talk to your parents, especially, and your loved ones, telling them that you're not going to take their advice, that you're going to go on your own path, and they perceive that as you knowing better than them. So it makes a huge argument. It makes a terrible life at home. At least it did for me. They were doing this out of good intention. They obviously wanted me to succeed. They wanted me to get to my goals, but they had no proof. From their point of view, I was just some ridiculous kid with some crazy dreams that has never done anything in his life to back up these crazy dreams. And the reason it is so difficult to start these things is because you have to be delusional in order to succeed. Confidence comes from competence, but the problem is when you're first starting in anything, like I said, it could be business, it could be in the gym, it could be anything, it could be a sport, you don't have any competence yet, so all of your confidence must be constructed into your mind. This is why people say you must be delusional to be rich, and it is completely true. You need to build up an ego that has absolutely no backing except for your belief in yourself. And once you get over that initial hump, it is going to be easy because you'll start to fulfill your ego, you'll start to actually get momentum going, and you'll start to raise real confidence. But until then, you need to have fake confidence, and that's just another reason on why starting something is so hard. But to go along with my story, and then I'll break that down after, is once I started finally making money, they were like, okay, you can do what you want. You can, do your own life. We're not really supporting it, but if you want to do it, if you want to not take our help and go to college, if you want to do your whole own thing, then whatever, you can do it. And they basically didn't believe in me. I showed them enough proof where, they would let me go, they would let me move out of the house, do whatever I wanted to do, but they were probably expecting me to flunk out of my business, to go back to school, to basically just, lay down and not succeed in this business. But I refused to do that. I put my all into my business, and 6 months later, I started making real money. I started making 10K plus per month, then 50K a month. Then I made over 150 grand in December of 2023, and I moved out of my mom's basement. And once they saw that, they knew that I was legit. And one of the other key components to this video, which I've talked about on my Instagram, is that your parents, your loved ones, if they're actually supporting you, which your parents will, they will forgive you for all of the stress you put them through once you actually make it. The reason they don't believe in you at the start is because you have no proof, and it's coming out of good intention. If you go to your parents, if you're anywhere around my age, even older, it doesn't matter, especially older actually, they were probably born in the 80s, maybe the 70s, maybe the 90s, whatever. And in their generation, it didn't exist for a kid to get rich. It didn't exist to have this fairy tale of a kid doing his own thing and building a life for himself at just 19, 18, 17 years old. That didn't exist. But with the internet, we are in a new age, and I'm sure you guys, if you're watching this video, you already know it's possible. You see all these people succeeding, you see me succeeding. So many people are making money and building their dream life with online businesses that it has basically become normalized to us, Gen Z, if you're watching this. But to go back to my point, our parents, that didn't exist in their lifetime. There wasn't even the internet. There wasn't anything where a kid could get rich. You had to climb the corporate ladder, you had to work your job, and hopefully you could get to 100K, 200K a year one day if you were really, really good in a really good profession. But now we have got bestowed upon us an unbelievable opportunity with the time we live in where we can get rich based on our hard work and based on our knowledge. So the point is, your parents are hating on you out of good intention. They love you, they want you to succeed, but they're not going to believe you until you show them. So that just makes it that much harder to start. But the way I started my business, the way I finally confronted them with that confrontation, was that I was fed up with what I was currently living. I was fed up with not having any money. I was fed up feeling lost. I was fed up having to listen to my parents all the time, go to school, do something I didn't want to do because I had no proof to back it up. So I finally just started my business. I did what I wanted to do, and I was selfish. I'll admit that I was selfish. And most people hear selfish and they think it's a bad word. But the reality is you have to be selfish at the start, because if you're not, you're never going to achieve your goals, and you're never going to be able to give back to your family and those who care about you because you weren't selfish at the start. If you're selfish, you can eventually become a giver when you become financially well off enough that you can give money back. But if you never are selfish at the start, you're going to end up in a life that you hate, that other people have directed for you, that you don't want to do. So when you're thinking about starting something, whether it's going to the gym, like I said, mainly starting a business, that's probably why you guys are watching this, you need to think long-term. You need to think, okay, what if I don't start? What if I don't do this? What if I do whatever is laid out for me? Probably college, probably a 9-to-5 job, the normal life, the miserable slave life. Think about how miserable that would be, and it would all happen because you simply didn't start. Think about you on your deathbed, looking back. Damn, I wish I started. I wish I did this. I wish I did this. But instead, I let other people push me around, and I never did what I actually wanted to do in this life. Think about that. You need to get extremely harsh with yourself, because you need something very harsh and very motivating to push you over that initial fear. So think about that, guys. Think about how bad your life would turn out if you never did what you wanted to do, if you never started that business, if you never got into the gym, if you never did anything. If I never started, I'd probably be a college student right now, partying, hating my life, having nothing to show for myself, and then I would end up in a horrible 9-to-5 job, being miserable for literally the next 50 years. And the reason I'm not in that position is all because I had the courage to start. So most people think building a business is like this. It's just a linear graph where you're going to get a little bit of progress, blah, 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 and you're going to get to your goal. But the fact is, it's actually like this. This initial hump right here is the hardest, because you have all that fear of starting, you have tons of doubt, you don't have any results, you need that delusion to get yourself going with some sort of confidence level, or you're not going to succeed, which is extremely hard to get, like I explained a few minutes ago, because you don't have anything to show for yourself yet. But that first initial hump is by far the hardest, and once you can get past that mountain, it is going to be smooth sailing to your goals, because you're going to build confidence within yourself, you're going to have already started, so you're already going to have momentum, you're going to have courage within yourself, and you're going to actually get to the goals you want to get to. Now, most people think it's not that simple, but coming from me, someone who's actually done it, built a business, it really is that simple. Once you get that first initial boost, once you get that first sale, once you get that real confidence in yourself, you're going to be filled with energy that you've never felt before, because it is something that you did by yourself. Us as humans, us in our childhood, everything is laid out for us. We go to school, we go to teachers, we do classes, we get our degree, whatever we're doing in school, and it's all laid out for us. It's all using a teacher. It's all using our parents' guidance. It's all getting money from a boss. But when you're an entrepreneur and you actually do it yourself, it is going to give you a different different sense of confidence, and it's going to open your eyes to the world that you can really do whatever you want to do in this life by yourself. You don't need a boss who hates you, paying you a minimum wage salary. You don't need a teacher explaining everything. You don't need your parents to give you handouts. You can do it all yourself, but only if you get over that fear of starting. So what I would give to my younger self is simply advice that I should have started earlier. I would say, stop being scared. Stop being scared of your parents. Stop being scared that people are going to judge you. Stop giving in to that fear of doubt, your negative self-talk, and just start. All of your problems will be sorted once you start. If you don't start, or even if you just delay you starting, all you're doing is delaying the time you're going to get to your goals. And every single time you give in to not starting because of your fear, you're programming your subconscious to be a pussy. Honestly, you're programming it to say, okay, I give in to my negative self-talk. I don't do what I want to do. I do what other people tell me to do, and I give in to fear. I don't give in to my own passion. So every time you do this, you are actually doing something much more detrimental than you realize. You need to start now because it's going to allow you to overcome that barrier of your subconscious telling you, hey, you can't do this. You're not going to succeed. What if you fail? What if people judge you? What if it doesn't work out? You're going to punch that shit in the face, and you're going to start doing what you want to do, and it will be a turning point in your life. So for you guys watching this, I hope you found this inspiring. It really is that simple to get to your goals. It doesn't matter what it is. All you have to do is start. Start your business now. Start what you've always wanted to do now. Start the journey, because these are the times you will look back on and feel extremely proud of yourself for it. The most thing I'm proud of is that I actually started, that I confronted my parents, that I did it in high school when all my teachers were telling me it was going to fail, when all my friends were laughing at me for posting content. I did it then, and it's given me the life of my dreams. My parents forgave me for all the stress I put them through. Now I get to buy my mom Louis Vuitton bags, take her on vacations, give her a life she never had before, all because I actually started. So I hope you guys were inspired by this video. On this channel, all I do is post every single thing I've learned from going from zero in my mom's basement to a multi-millionaire at just 19 years old out here living in Miami. I hope you guys found this informative. Consider subscribing. I post on here daily, like I said, about my business advice, my life advice, just everything I've learned. I'll see you in the next one.